Welcome back. Thank you all for joining me again for another episode of Under the Influence. And tonight we will be watching the Apple logo theory. Now, we've all seen this symbol. It's known throughout the world. Most of us either have a phone, a tablet, computer, download music, have an iPod. All of it is connected to this name brand. Now, have you ever wondered why they came up with this Apple as their logo and their company name? Well, this video kind of takes a look at the history of the logo, and I found it really cool, and I hope you find it interesting too. So without further ado, let's get into it.
To find the meaning of the Apple logo, it is best to start at the beginning. Apple was founded April 1st, 1976 by Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak and Ronald Wayne. The computers were hand-built by Wozniak and first shown to the public at the Homebrew Computer Club Group in Palo Alto, California. The Apple I went on sale in July 1976. A local computer dealer saw it and ordered 100 units. About 200 Apple I's were built and sold over a 10-month period for the symbolically unsettling price of $666.66. Apple's first logo was designed by Steve Jobs and drawn by Ronald Wayne, depicting Sir Isaac Newton sitting under an apple tree. The words Apple Computer Co. were drawn on a ribbon banner ornamenting the picture frame. The frame itself held a quotation from Wordsworth, "Newton, a mind forever voyaging through strange seas of thought, alone." Sir Isaac Newton was an English physicist, mathematician, astronomer, natural philosopher, alchemist and theologian, and is considered by many scholars and of the general public to be one of the most influential people in human history. Newton's scientific work may have been of lesser personal importance to him, as he placed emphasis on rediscovering the occult wisdom of the ancients. He is probably best known for his work on universal gravitation. He built the first practical reflecting telescope, and he developed a theory of color based on the observation that a prism decomposes white light into the many colors that form the visible spectrum. Perhaps this is why Apple later transitioned from their original Newtonian logo to the more familiar rainbow apple. A prism is a triangular or pyramidal transparent optical element, usually made of glass, that refracts light. It's used to break light up into its constituent spectral colors, creating the colors of the rainbow. This is something Newton worked on and developed in his work on optics. Is this Apple's way of telling us that they are of the light, enlightened, or in some way manipulating light? Perhaps continuing the work of other people from the age of enlightenment? The question is, are they illuminating our minds using technology? In 1977, Rob Janoff, working for Regis McKenna as an art director, was tasked to redesign Apple's logo. Regis McKenna Incorporated helped start several Silicon Valley firms during the 1970s and 80s, including America Online, Electronic Arts, Intel, Microsoft, and many others. Although Steve Jobs and the designer Rob Janoff came out of the hippie culture, Rob said in an interview that the rainbow color was used because the Apple II was the first home or personal computer that could reproduce images on the monitor in color, so it represents color bars on the screen. Also, it was an attempt to make the logo very accessible to everyone, especially to young people, so that Steve could get them into schools. Another source stated that Steve wanted the rainbow colors because it humanized the company. Jean-Louis Gasset, the executive at Apple Computer from 81 to 90, was asked about his thoughts about the Apple logo. He answered, "One of the deep mysteries to me is our logo, the symbol of lust and knowledge bitten into, all crossed with the colors of the rainbow in the wrong order. You couldn't dream of a more appropriate logo. Lust, knowledge, hope, and anarchy." In the beginning, Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak were building and selling the Apple I computer from the Jobs family garage on 2066 Christ Drive, Los Altos, California. The question is, where did these kids get the idea to build and sell computers? Wozniak was early on interested in technology, and he went to work for Hewlett-Packard in Palo Alto. Jobs held a summer job there, and later he took a job at Atari to save money for a spiritual retreat to India. So how influential was the hippie movement, drugs, the counterculture, LSD, acid when it comes to the creation of Apple? At a time when most computers were big as houses and only could be found in an industrial environment. Jobs got stoned for the first time during a high school summer, he told Playboy magazine in 1985. You could get LSD fresh made from Stanford. He and his girlfriend often visited a commune called the All One Farm. He practiced vegetarianism and experimented with more restrictive diets, such as eating only fruit. The two Steves, Jobs and Wozniak, were outcasts while they were in high school. By 1975 they had withdrawn from Reed College and UC Berkeley respectively. Cultural historian Theodore Roszak made the point that the Apple computer emerged from within the West Coast counterculture. Eventually the rainbow colors in the Apple were replaced by a monochrome theme, still with the light shining behind it. But more interestingly, let's look at the byte in the Apple logo. According to the designer Rob Janoff, it is not a reference to the computing term byte. A byte is 8 bits. A bit or binary digit can be used to represent two states of information. 1 or 0, on or off, true or false, male or female, ignorance or knowledge. How about good or evil? The more bytes, the more intelligence, the more information you can store or process faster. What fruit is the apple referring to anyway? Is it Newton's apple that fell onto his head when he got the idea for how gravity works? Many have speculated that it's a reference to the father of the modern computer, Alan Turing, who was imprisoned on charges of homosexuality in 1952. He was first subjected to chemical castration, treatment with female hormones, and in 1954 he eventually killed himself by taking a bite of a cyanide-injected apple. And Alan Turing's favorite childhood story was Snow White, where she falls asleep forever for eating a poisoned apple, to later be woken up by a prince. Maybe it's a reference to the forbidden fruit in the Garden of Eden. The bite taken out of it would suggest that it is. If this is a reference to the apple from the tree of knowledge of good and evil in the Garden of Eden, then what does that make the Apple company? Eve, the serpent, or maybe the knowledge itself? Malum in Latin means both apple and evil. Is Apple aligning themselves with the adversary, the Antichrist, the snake, or Lucifer, the rebel and liberator of God's monotheistic tyranny?
Today we celebrate the first glorious anniversary of the information purification directives. We have created, for the first time in all history, a garden of pure ideology.
That's the first Apple commercial.
Secure from the pests, obeying contradictory
1984.
The creation of the laws is more powerful a weapon than any fleet or army on earth. We are one people, with one will, one resolve, one cause. Our enemies shall talk themselves to death, and we will bury them with their own confusion. We shall prevail.
On January 24th, Apple Computer will introduce Macintosh. And you'll see why 1984 won't be like 1984.
When the designer was asked in an interview, is it a reference to the biblical event when Eve bit into the forbidden fruit, he said, "It's all BS, it's a wonderful urban legend. Somebody starts it and then people go, oh yeah, that must be it." Even when he was asked in a follow-up question, is it possible you were influenced subconsciously by these stories, he said, "Well, I'm probably the least religious person, so Adam and Eve didn't have anything to do with it. The bite of knowledge sounds fabulous, but that's not it." Our question is, how can he not be aware of one of the most famous stories in Western and Middle Eastern history? Furthermore, acting subconsciously would not be something that you would be conscious of.
Okay, so that was the Apple logo theory. Now that ending there, the ending part was weird when the guy said that he couldn't have been influenced by Adam and Eve. Like he said, most people are familiar with that story, so how could he have not subconsciously at least thought of that? But yeah, I thought this was a pretty crazy video, and I don't know how much of it is truth. I know some of it is truth, but the entire video, I can't validate for if it's true or not. But it was really cool. Seems to be a lot of connections and some of the theories made sense, like the Alan Turing and the word bite, taking a bite out of the apple, double meaning of bite of an apple and bite in computer code, computer language. So yeah, hope you found it interesting. I thought it was really cool. Let me know what your thoughts are on it. If there's anything that resonated with you, or if you just think somebody just came up with a crazy story and it just was well put together. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. We'll see you next time under the influence. Take care.